darkest of days. Especially on a day like this, but unfortunately, I'm going to speak to you about a very negative topic. It's about darkness. Nobody likes darkness. Nobody likes to speak about darkness. I want to speak to you about the darkest of days. Already the passage that I want to share with you has been read through, but I just want to highlight one verse. Actually, two verses. Matthew chapter 27, verse 45 and 46. From noon until 3 in the afternoon. From noon, that is middle of the day, right? Noon till 3 in the afternoon, darkness came over all the land. Darkness came over all the land. About 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Darkness has always been associated with evil. In the early Western movies, we know that the villain always wore black hat. And when someone is portrayed breaking into a house, they are always wearing black. Robbers, rogues, they have a little, only the eye can be seen, like a mask. They wear black. There is a negative superstition about a black cat crossing the road, isn't it? When you are about to go somewhere, if a black cat crosses the road, bad news. It's bad news, especially in Sri Lankan context. Criminals hide in the darkness. Criminals hide in the darkness while waiting for their victims. Until the victim comes, criminals always hide in the darkness. Darkness has always been associated with evil. When we think about Calvary, we can consider in the same manner that there was so much of evil. Now, it does not mean that Jesus was a criminal. That's a difference. Jesus was not a criminal, but the events. Jesus was not a criminal, but the events that led to his crucifixion were unlawful and unjust. Jesus was crucified unlawfully and unjustly. I'm going to tell you why I am saying that. He was an innocent man put to death. He was an innocent man, perfectly an innocent man put to death. Now Pilate said, the ruler of that area said, I find no fault in him. Then for the sake of keeping the peace, turned him over to the crowd to crucify him, just for the sake of peace, because he didn't want a revolt. Pilate didn't want people to go on protests. So therefore just handed over him to crucify, but he found no fault in him. He found no fault in him. So this was the darkest day in the history of humanity. This was the darkest day in the history of humanity. It was on this date in history when evil apparently ruling the day to the extent that for 3 hours the sun refused to shine. It was so evil that the sun in the middle of the day refused to shine. The sun refused to shine on the death of our Lord Jesus Christ. He was such an innocent, even the nature stood by him and refusing to shine on the death of our Lord Jesus Christ. We live in a very dark world today, even today. Church is being attacked in many ways. The business of the world is being used as a reason for families not to attend the church. While the world is tolerant to many other practices, many other beliefs, many other social beliefs, the world is not tolerant to Christianity at all. Unprovoked, unthinkable violence and hatred is increasing, and it is alarming at an alarming rate. It is increasing day by day. The days to come, it'll be worse. Wait and see. Our personal privacy is no longer guaranteed in the world. We wait and see. Our personal privacy will no longer guaranteed. Satan sits back and smiles as he was believing that he was winning because Jesus was crucified. Now, Satan planned to lead the world into darkness. That was his plan. Satan planned to lead the whole world into darkness, you and me, including you and me. Satan wanted Calvary. Satan wanted to kill Jesus. Satan wanted to put an end to the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. Satan wanted it for he thought that he could nail Jesus to the cross, and when Jesus would die, Satan could be the absolute ruler of the world. That's what his idea. Satan probably never knew of the reality of resurrection, but he thought death would put an end to everything. People would have then to follow him, not Christ anymore. Satan wanted to prove that he was the strongest and the most powerful than God. I just want to share something with you about Jesus' path to the cross, some of his experiences. It was at Calvary that the battle of the ages, for the ages, was fought. The battle of the ages, for the ages, was fought. We do not have time to consider the entire path to the cross, but some highlights would be helpful on a day like this. Jesus was arrested for no obvious crime, right? He was arrested for no obvious crime. He was not a criminal. Probably around midnight, he was arrested. Jesus was taken to Annas, the high priest, and found guilty of the crime of blasphemy against God. Now, according to the Jewish law, blasphemy against God is a capital punishment. It requires capital punishment. But did Jesus actually blaspheme God? Actually, Jesus came to reveal who God is. Just imagine, Jesus came to reveal to humanity who God is. But he was charged of blasphemy against God. How cruel the human beings can be. Now you think these things are happening only today, right? Truth is twisted in many ways. Blasphemy was a capital crime according to the Jewish law. But it was not a reason for capital punishment according to the Roman law. Now Palestine was under the Roman law. So therefore, Jesus couldn't be punished with a capital punishment because of the blasphemy against God, because it was not according to the Roman law. Therefore, what they did was they cooked up a story. They cooked up a story to the Roman authorities, and Jesus was brought before the Pilate and Herod. He was charged of conspiracy against the Roman government. Can you imagine? He was charged of conspiracy against Roman government. And therefore, they charged him, they told that he was going to overthrow the government of Rome. While Jesus would claim to be a king, yes, Jesus claimed himself to be a king, but he was very careful. Jesus, at all times, he was very careful to state that his kingdom was not of this world. His kingdom was not of this world. It was not going to be a political kingdom. So there was no merit to the charge. Although the charge was brought against him before the Pilate and Herod, there was no merit to the charge. After a variety of ridicule methods and torture, Pilate, in one last move, he tried to satisfy the crowd. He brought forth Barabbas, a very serious criminal. The custom of that day was to release a particular prisoner. That happens even in Sri Lanka, right? On a particular day, on a particular moment, or for particular reasons, criminals are released. Even now, it happens. So it is an ancient practice. So Barabbas was brought forth, and they asked the question, do you want Jesus or Barabbas? And people unfortunately cried Barabbas for Christ. Christ was to be crucified, and Barabbas was to set free. Pilate gave Jesus over to the mob with the authorization to crucify him. The procession began. And Jesus, along with the two thieves that was already read, that were to be crucified with him, made their way to Calvary. Along the path led to the cross, there were many scoffers, many unbelievers, many ridiculers. They were ridiculing Christ. At the same time, as we read in the scripture in the morning, there were also some loved ones of Christ along the way, but they were so helpless. They couldn't do anything. So these people shouted, insulted him, spat on him, and they hurled dirt on Jesus. They did everything possible to crucify him on the way to the cross. Now a little bit about the experience of the cross. Many of the condemned died even before the crucifixion. The cruelty of crucifixion is such that many criminals died even before the crucifixion. Some people say that Jesus didn't die of crucifixion, that he was he lost his conscience and he was kept in a tomb, and then, he came back to life and he walked away, and that's all kind of nonsense people make. Criminals died even before crucifixion, because such was the terror, such was the, even today, people die even before the gallows. People die, because it's such a fear, it brings about such a fear. The beating that they took was so severe before crucifixion. Jesus didn't have even physical strength to carry his own cross to the Calvary. One guy on the way, Simon, had to carry the cross for him. Once Jesus and the thieves were nailed to the cross, the crosses would be lifted up and dropped into the hole. And that has been prepared to keep the cross being erected. When it drops on the hole, the impact rips their muscles. Crucifixion is not a joke. It is not a simple thing. The drop would strain and pull many, if not all, muscles in their bodies. That's how cruel the crucifixion is. And there they would hang, defenseless against the insults, the spitting, the cruelty of the crowd of that day. For 3 hours, from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, Jesus and the thieves would endure this pain. 3 hours. Some of us can't endure pain for a second. Injection, Some people can't endure pain of an injection. And they bore the pain of the cross for 3 hours. Now I just want to bring you to the darkness and its significance. However, there was a miracle. There was a supernatural darkness that would come to the earth in the middle of the day. In the middle of the day, there was a supernatural darkness. It was a physical miracle without physical cause. Darkness came without any physical cause, no physics involved. After Jesus had been hanging on the cross for 3 hours, darkness fell on the earth. Now, darkness has always been a symbol of sin and death in the Bible. Darkness is a symbol of death and symbol of sin in the Bible. God used darkness as one of the plagues against the Egyptians, as you remember. In Exodus chapter 10, verse 21 to 22, God used darkness as one of the plagues that came against the Egyptians. God used darkness to protect the Israelites from Egypt when they were led out of Egypt by Moses. That we read in Exodus chapter 14, verses 19 to 20. Now, John in the New Testament uses light and darkness to describe the relationship between God and humanity. In the first chapter of the book of John, we read from verse 1 to 20, but I will read from verse 5. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it. Now, this is the relationship between God and humanity. God shines in the darkness, but the darkness, that is we, did not understood. We did not understand the darkness, the light. John in his writings brings down the verdict or the choice of humanity and the necessity of the cross. Now, what John says here is the choice of humanity was darkness. And that brought the necessity for the cross. That is the darkness and its significance. And in John chapter 3, verse 19 to 21, we read that this is the verdict, verse 19. Light has come into the world, but men love darkness instead of light. How unfortunate it is, isn't it? Light has come into the world, but men love the darkness instead of the light. Now, how on earth this is possible? Because their deeds were evil. Because the deeds of the humanity was evil. Verse 20, everyone who does evil hates light and will not come into the light for fear that his deeds will be exposed. They don't want to come into the light because their evil deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light. If you live by the truth, you come into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that when he has done has been done through God. We read that in verse 21. It is no wonder there was darkness on that terrible day. People loved darkness, and there was no wonder there was darkness on that day. Humanity chooses to love darkness. Humanity wants to love darkness on that day at Calvary, so that there was darkness. Now, the explanation for the darkness is found in Jesus' last statement on the cross. Explanation for the darkness. In total, Jesus made several statements from the cross. Mainly basically seven statements were made on the cross. But his last four statements indicate the terrible battle that was fought and won by Christ on that day. Now, I just want to briefly mention to you about these seven statements. The first three statements go like this: Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Luke chapter 23. Father, forgive them. That was the first statement. Second statement: today you will be with me in paradise. That was the second statement he made on the cross. And the third: behold your son, behold your mother. He was telling to the Mother Mary, behold your son, and to the disciples, behold your mother. And from that day onwards, the disciples took care of the mother of our Lord Jesus Christ. So, parental responsibility was taken care of by Christ even on the cross. Even on the cross. It's a good example. Before we discuss the rest of the statements on the cross, let us search for the explanation of darkness as a news reporter, asking several questions. Now, who sent the darkness? What was the darkness? When was the darkness? Where was the darkness? Why was the darkness? We use this question: who, what, when, where, and why was the darkness? Point number one: who sent the darkness? Satan or God? We know that the darkness was sent by God. It is obvious. How do we know this? Because the darkness was the fulfillment of the prophecy in Amos chapter 8, verse 9. In that day, Amos chapter 8, verse 9, in that day declares the sovereign Lord, I will make the sun go down at noon and darken the earth in broad daylight. This was a prophecy made by Amos. In that day declares the sovereign Lord, I will make the sun go down at noon and darken the earth in broad daylight. So it came from God. Point number two: what was the darkness? The darkness was a supernatural darkness. We have tried to find scientific answers to why this darkness came. Some people have made some scientific explanations to show reasons why was the darkness and what was the darkness. But we have been unable to do so other than the fact that it was supernatural. Some have suggested that it was a solar eclipse. But the theory is not held by many, as the weather conditions of that day will not support a solar eclipse. Some have suggested that there was a great storm coming, a natural storm, but there was no dust or rain in the air to indicate the storm came. People know not there was no rain, there was no dust, there was just pure darkness, that's all. And we are only left with the explanation of the supernatural. This was the darkness that had its origin with God. Point three: when was the darkness? We know that the darkness was present with them from third hour that Jesus was on the cross until the sixth. This time this time is important because it was time when Jesus made his statement, last statement, my God, why have you forsaken me? In the time when he made his statement, I am thirst. That was the time there was darkness. When God seemed to have forgotten Christ, and when he was thirsty, and when he was handing his spirit back to God. Point number four: where was darkness? Where was darkness? Now, it is possible that this darkness was localized darkness, where the people might say, now if you read the text, If you go back and read that text, it says, there was a darkness in the land. In the land. Now, this is where the Bible is very true, you know. The writers could see that there was darkness only in that area. It is a localized darkness like. But we cannot believe that this was the case. There was no satellite at that time to see whether the whole world was dark. But we can assume, for obvious reason, that the darkness was all over the earth. All over the earth. Jesus took on the sin of the entire world, past, present, and future, when he was on the cross. He took on himself the sin of the environment, because even our environment is broken because of the sin of humanity, and the sin of animals present in the world as well. Since this battle would involve all these aspects of nature, of animal life, of humanity, of the whole world, it is fair to say that the darkness encompassed all of creation. All of creation. For his death was to pay the sin and debt of all creation. We can believe that the entire world was in darkness during this period. We can assume that the whole world was in darkness during these 3 hours. Point number 5, why was the darkness? Why? This is the question that is in our hearts this morning. Why was there darkness? Why was the darkness? What was the purpose of this darkness? What was the purpose? I believe there are many reasons. There can be many reasons, but I can give you a few reasons. First, we could believe that the world was dark that day because of the evil that was present at Calvary. There was so much of evil present at Calvary. So much of injustice visible and present at Calvary. There was evil in the hearts of people present, and Satan, the evil one himself, was watching and waiting there to make sure that everything comes to an end. So that can be one of the reasons. And secondly, the world went dark on that day to show us that the full consequences of sin. The consequences of sin is darkness. We end up in darkness. Remember that Jesus uttered these words at the beginning of the darkness, not at the end of the darkness. At the beginning of the darkness. So what happened to him? What happened to Christ during those 3 hours? Now you need to get this very clearly. What happened to Christ during these 3 hours should have been what will happen to us for eternity. Just imagine. What happened to Christ for 3 hours on the cross should have been what will happen to us for eternity. Jesus for 3 hours came face to face with the power of Satan. Indeed, Satan himself. The terrifying part of this is that Jesus faced Satan without the support of the Father. My God, why have you forsaken me? God had forsaken him because of the sin of the world. Jesus had to face Satan this way all by himself, because without salvation, this is the way you or I would face Satan. If you and I are not saved through Christ, this is the way we had to face Satan, by ourselves. When Jesus died on the cross, we see the fullness of his humanity as well as his divinity. In his humanity, he would die. Why did Christ die? Primarily to save us from the power of sin, power of Satan. Now, Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. For we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, Our high priest, that is Christ, can sympathize with us in our weaknesses because we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet without sin. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15. Why was the darkness? Third reason is, for these 3 hours, Jesus faced the anger of a just God. Why there was darkness? Because for 3 hours, Jesus had to face the anger of a just God. Jesus had to go through that punishment. God of justice, and he was a God of love. And God of justice has to punish sin. So he was punishing sin of the whole world. Isaiah 53 verse 6 tells us, we all like sheep have gone astray. Each of us have turned to his own way, and the Lord laid on him the iniquity of us all. The Lord laid on him, that is Jesus, the iniquity of us all. So this darkness was a symbolic of the judgment of God. If not for Christ, you and I would have to face this darkness for eternity. For eternity. It was the judgment that would have been ours. You and I should have been on that cross. But Jesus took the judgment of God in our place. Why was the darkness? It looks like for 3 hours, the unity of the Trinity was broken. Unity of the Trinity was so blended together, but for a moment, it was broken. Jesus hung alone on the cross as a human being. The reason for the cross was to pay the sin and debts of humanity, and sin must be punished. As a just God, sin must be punished. Jesus faced the fury and the wrath of God on that day, so that you and I would not have to face it for eternity. During these 3 hours on the cross, Jesus experienced the spiritual death and the separation from God. Now you need to take this point also very well. For these 3 hours, Jesus experienced the spiritual death and the separation from God. Now this separation we should have been experiencing for eternity. Just imagine if we are spiritually and physically separated from God for eternity, it would have been terrible. This is the consequences of sin which he became for us. In conclusion, the remaining words of Christ I should read for you. Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me? He said, I thirst. Indicate that the spiritual conflict is now over. Spiritual conflict is now over. And Jesus can address his human condition. I am thirst. And then this is what I believe that he was saying when he stated that I was thirsty. And then finally, he said, it is finished. It is finished. Tetelestai in Greek. The word, it is finished, that means it is paid in full. Paid in full, no debt at all. Mission accomplished. When Jesus said, he meant that the perfect sacrifice has been made for our sin. By his death, the work of salvation was fully accomplished. You need to remember that. The work of salvation was fully accomplished. You don't have to do anything to receive salvation other than to believe him. There was nothing left to do. It is fully done. It was a word to indicate the accomplishment of a mission. A father might send a son on a mission. When a father sends a son on a mission, the son, after accomplishing the mission, he will come back and say, Tetelestai. It is done. It is finished. Jesus said to his father, in his high priestly prayer in John chapter 17, verse 4, I have brought you glory on earth by completing the work you gave me to do. I have brought you glory on earth by completing the work you gave me to do. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. Final words. This final time, he would say it on the cross. Finally, all being completed, he issued his last statement. Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. In the cross, we may see the dimension of his divine love. Indeed, love takes the initiative. You know, when you love someone, you take the initiative and bears the burden necessary to make relationship right. That's what God did for us on the cross of Calvary. You see, the cross of Christ is not just an instrument of execution. Cross of Christ is not just an instrument of execution, but it was an instrument of exhibition. What did he exhibit on the cross of Calvary? Exhibition of the greatest love that could ever take place on this planet Earth. The greatest love. It is an exhibition of greatest love that can be exhibited on this planet Earth. So through the cross, God have exhibited his love for the lost world. That is what the cross is all about. And may God bless us all this morning.